This is how you build a billion-dollar enterprise, guys. When it comes to $1 billion of volume a year, is this accretionary, muscle-building, sustained daily discipline of just 3 connections a day. If you're working 5 days a week, that's 60 connections a month. Even if you're converting just 10% of that, that's 6 quality, fruitful connections a month. And if each one of those is producing a deal, and that's a partnership that sends you a deal a month or a deal every second month, that compounds, that consistency compounds.
Welcome everyone to the Art of Mortgage Marketing podcast. I'm Penny Wrightley. Today we have our lovely co-host, Doran Aldana. And today's a special day. We have a couple of guest experts. We have brought in the crew from Sherwood Mortgage here in Ontario. We are welcoming Anthony Contento and Michele Steko. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Paul.
Absolutely. Anthony joins us with over 30 years of experience in the mortgage industry. He's an ex-banker, and he's going to be sharing a ton of information with us today. Michele joins us as well with 20 plus years in the mortgage industry, including mortgage networking, consulting, sales, training. She is a people builder. And so the two of them today, we are going to pick their brains a little bit and ask them a few fun questions that anyone in the mortgage industry probably has some burning questions. And we're going to pick their brains today and get some expertise from these industry veterans.
All right. Good.
Awesome.
All right, cool. Great. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. We really appreciate it. So I want to ask both of you, actually, what inspired both of you to get into the mortgage industry in the first place? So we all have a bit of a motive that kind of drives us. So has there been anything that sort of changed over the years that's, is there anything different? Like what drove you into the industry originally? And is it still what motivates you today? Who would like to go first?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. All right, Michele, beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks for having us today. It's a pleasure to be here. For me, it was really just the freedom of flexibility, as well as being able to use the talents a little more directly. Like, so when it said people building, right? Just being around people more as opposed to just being stuck to a 9-to-5 behind a screen where I didn't feel like I was using my talents to my full capacity. So that's kind of what motivated me. Once I had children, I was like, I need to be around people. I need the flexibility. And so I did the course, and here we are 20 years later.
I love it. That's incredible. Wow. So, that's also been a big motivator for me too. It was definitely, having a family and all of that and having the flexibility of this industry. It's definitely been a big motivator for sure. So I absolutely love that. And Anthony, you've been in the industry for so long as well. You've been in the industry a little bit longer than I have. I've been in the industry 24 years. And you've got just a little bit more experience than I do. So tell me, what is your big motivation? What brought you into the industry, especially the broker side from the banker side? What brought you into the industry? And is it still a big motivation for you today?
Yeah, for sure. But I notice you keep saying longer and longer. Is that because of my gray hairs? Why are you just making me old? Is that all? Well, now listen, my story is probably just a little bit different. I immigrated from Italy when I was 8 years old. So my motivation was to get out of being a butcher. So my first trade was being a butcher from pretty much 9 years old till I was 20. And from there, I jumped into the banking industry where I learned many different facets of the business, different desks. And then one day I just felt that I would apply for a lender's job at Bank of Montreal, being one of the mortgage lenders. It intrigued me. I liked the fact of playing with numbers and helping people, finance their dreams. And here we are today. From the Blue Bank, which is the Royal Bank. I have no problem saying that I came from the Royal Bank. It was a great institution to work for. But from the Royal Bank, here I am today, and I love helping. I love helping clients find their dreams, their home. More importantly, I love being around people, and I've got a great group of leaders around me at the Sherwood Mortgage Group, along with the 170 agents that we are here today with.
That's
amazing how humble beginnings can create, such an epic impact over time with those small steps along the way, day by day. And here you are all this time later. it's really cool to see the fruit of your discipline, your focus, and your tenacity. Really, to be in the business as long as you guys have. You guys have some stick to itiveness, some thick skin. That's for sure. No one can say you have thin skin. That is for sure. I'm curious to know if your motive, your drive, your passion, your motivation to be in this business has shifted noticeably over the years, or if it's still the same heartbeat from, your interest in numbers and helping people get into their dream home right from day one. I'm kind of curious to know if that's evolved.
Yeah, you know what, I go to sleep every night and I wake up every morning loving what I do, and I really do. I love what I do, and that's because I get satisfaction in knowing that we've actually helped a customer, fulfill their dream, whether it's their first or it's an investment. As I said, just being around people here at Sherwood, it's always been the same. If anything, I actually continue to enjoy more and more. There's a lot of changes, obviously, in our industry, and we're adapting to them, but we're pretty focused. And every day, I thank my lucky stars for doing what I do.
Well, attitude of gratitude, you can never go wrong with that. It certainly beats the alternative, right?
Good.
Especially when you're the leader, because everything rises and falls on leadership. So if you don't have that heartbeat, that passion, that gratitude, and that connection to purpose, Lord knows your people won't either. So I'm sure there's a big part of why you've had success just in that alone. But I'm going to pass the baton back to Penny, our guide and host today, to unpack a little more of your story.
Beautiful. Excellent. So I wanted to focus maybe a little bit on growth, guys. So you guys have had some tremendous growth, Sherwood Mortgage. They're one of the top brokerages in Canada. I really love shining a light on you because I think that Sherwood is, to me, it's a brokerage that I've always looked up to personally. I think that everything that your company stands for is something that many other brokerages aspire to as well. So I wanted to ask you, what top sort of strategies or tips do you have for anyone that is maybe looking to have that type of growth, whether it be independent growth as an independent agent or whether it be to grow a brokerage? What are some of the strategies or tips that you have, maybe 1 to 3 of them, that you would say are things that really stand out, that have really contributed towards the massive growth that Sherwood has experienced?
Go ahead, young lady.
Well, as I had said, we're in the people business. And so I'm of the opinion that people don't join companies, they join people. And people don't leave companies, they leave people. And so if you give them a home where they're going to feel like they're part of something and that they matter and that they're just not on this journey to just kind of transaction, it gives them a purpose, it gives them a place, it gives them a feeling of belonging. So the growth, although it has, been great over time, but it has been strategic and slow over time because we're mindful of who we bring on. And I think it's just, they have to be of the same mindset of fitting into a family and being in there for the long haul and sharing. We don't hoard information here, we share. And so it's the people building business. I truly believe that when you establish, high trust and the credibility of your word, when you're going to do something. And I met Anthony that way almost 20 years ago, on a handshake, on a word. And so I've held to that and he holds to that. And I think in our company, it means something. So we try to build our people. We believe in people and we want to see people succeed. When they do well, we do well, everybody does well. Right. So it grows our partnerships and it in return gives more to the client. So yeah, I think we're slow and steady, although we've had success with huge growth, but slow and steady because we're very mindful of who we bring on. And Anthony, if you want to add to it, yeah.
I think that's it. Really, our culture is what kind of makes us. And we think when we're sitting down with individuals, we're very selective of who we bring on. That's not to say that everybody's is going to fit our model, but there's certain values that we're really sticky about. And I think with the 170 agents that we've got on board right now, we all share in the same beliefs. We're very inclusive in the things that we do. That we hold, we hold a lot of integrity. I feel that it's something that it's shared, it's understood, and that vision is one. So, to exactly to Michelle's point, it's at the end of the day, it's people on people, and we respect each other, and we work as a family here. And everybody, I think, over the years, everybody's kind of understood that, and sort of, it's not even a platform. That's just who we are.
I'm curious to still dig a little deeper there. I can't help myself. There's obviously some values and some clarity that you have around those values that are mission critical to you. I'm curious to know, what are your top 3 must-have things you look for in a team member, and the top 3 must-not-haves that are like, a game stopper?
I can throw in teamwork, integrity, and for me, it would have to be respect.
Yeah.
Those would be the top 3. As far as the other 3, I'm going to leave the hard one to Michelle. Michelle, you can take the other 3. So if any of our guys are watching, they can blame you.
Yeah, that's totally good. Well, I'll say negativity. When you have people with a negative mindset, with limited mindsets, I think it seeps very quickly through the team. So we're very mindful of the positive attitudes that we have. People that are loyal, it's important to see people that bounce around a lot. You always kind of question why and what the mission behind that is, what the long-term goals are, and just people that are driven. We like to see people that want to be successful. So if you don't have that kind of drive and some type of plan in place, like it's just, you just want to park yourself somewhere for the ride, maybe not.
Right.
It's important to fit in the team, and we all want to be rowing in the same direction. We all want to succeed. And so come on the ride with us. We'll help you get there, but we want to see everybody who's driven and ready to succeed.
Yeah.
There's so much there. Go ahead, Anthony.
No, I was just going to say our mat at the front of the door, it's home sweet home. So there's a second home for you, and it should be treated that way. So the exact same way, the exact same principles, values, and morals that you have at home, they're the exact same. And it should be no different when you walk through those doors, or when you're on your own with, integrated with our whole SMG family. So I think we hold that very dear to our heart, and so far so good. We all love each other, so it's great.
That's awesome. I hate to generalize, but being that you're from an Italian heritage, I can imagine home sweet home as a slogan comes naturally to you, because I know as a general rule, Italians tend to be very family oriented. Is that true?
Yes, for sure. I think I don't know. It's we've got a pretty good mom there, being Croatian on her side there, her heritage. So we're very similar in that. But I think everybody is and for us, as you mentioned Italian, you kind of caught me off guard with the Italian. I was going to say, how do you know I'm Italian? I guess just by the last name, I would figure. But yeah, for sure. Being part of a family is something, and God knows what's out there today, and we just we don't need to look very far to see what can happen when a family is not close. So many things are happening around the world. People losing families, people not having a family, and I think what we try to do is we try to adapt the exact same thing that we have at home. We try to bring it here at work, and we've done a very good job. And I think that stems from folks like Michelle and our leadership team that do just an amazing job. And I sort of piggyback off of them, really, nothing more. I know you mentioned, being the leader and everything else, but they're really the leaders. And I kind of just fall behind them and make sure that, they always make me look good. So that's amazing. And I learned so much from them. So to me, that's the concept. That's where I get the family concept, right? So whatever I have at home, I try to bring here, and it's easier to do because we're all on the same page.
Beautiful.
And so I'm going to just add to that, because this is the humility of Anthony. Like, this is what I loved from day one, is the deflection of, like, it's not about me, it's about my people, right? So it's what mom or dad do to make sure the kids eat first. And that's what he's so good at. And he'll open his door every time, and it's so inclusive, and there's no one that's going to get left behind. Like, no one will go hungry. No one will go, so it starts from the top. So thanks, Anthony, for deflecting that to your team, but it always starts from the top. So you've enabled and created that environment for us.
Great example of servant leadership embodied just in how he's exemplifying that. So that's kind of
an incredible
Absolutely.
culture. Incredible culture. And I see why it's very magnetic for the people that have become part of the Sherwood family, right?
For
Makes
sure.
beautiful sense. So that's great.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a tiny little bit. Let's talk about challenging markets, because we know that, 2020, 2021, even the beginning of 2022 was pretty easy for the most part. If you were a broker, right? Like your phone was just ringing, right? Like deals were just coming in, and we all know that. And, we saw a significant shift happen in mid 2022, right? We started to see a pretty big shift in terms of the volume of real estate transactions happening. Interest rates started going up then as well. So we saw a big shift in the market. So what have you guys done to sort of navigate a more challenging market today? I mean, and certainly, with all of us here in this little Zoom room here, all of us here have some significant industry experience. So this isn't our first rodeo for sure. But this one is definitely a bit of a challenging one. We've got our friends to the south in the US that are, their market performance is continuing to keep interest rates high here in Canada while the market is kind of underperforming. So tell us a little bit about sort of how you guys are navigating the challenging market right now, and sort of what you're doing to, prepare your team for the ups and downs that are, kind of happening right now. Tell us a little bit.
And
I-
for sure. Go ahead.
It's okay. I'll jump in here. I think for us, just kind of understanding where we're going, where we're at, and where we're going. I think with the enhanced digital platforms and the mortgage applications are going to be coming through, and with AI and everything else, I think we just need to be well prepared of what's ahead and actually what's currently happening right now. So I think we're starting to do what we need to do to make sure that we don't get left behind. So we're adapting into the AI, and surely old folks like me are probably a little bit harder to do than the younger, because it's easy for them. But as far as the markets are concerned and everything else, and I'm not sure if I was understanding your question right, but currently, for a market which is slow right now, obviously we all know that a whole bunch of renewals are coming up in the next couple of years. So preparing for that and making sure we touch every customers, we prepare ourselves and through either CRMs and diarize everything. And I think that's just a preparation that we're all doing right now, and it's going to be no easy feat, because everybody's kind of fighting for the same deal. So I think for us, it's going to be what do we do to kind of prepare ourselves through the AI platform to make sure that we're going to be ahead of the of that curve. So that's where I see it. But Michele, maybe you can add to that.
Yeah, for sure. From my perspective, I guess, and in my role, I try to make sure that I always have a kind of my finger on the pulse as to where everybody's at. And some people are a little bit more successful than others. It just depends on where your business comes from. As Anthony said, are you working renewals because you have an existing database, or are you trying, to get those realtors to send you stuff, but they're already also slow. So maybe, they've noticed a little bit more impact. But I think it comes down to education, really, is, what are you doing to find these opportunities? Because I always find that in the world of diversity, there's opportunities. And so instead of getting kind of caught up in the whirlwind of rate or losing deals or whatever that kind of narrative is out there that we keep talking about, but where are the opportunities? Because when people are in trouble in these times, it means they need you more than ever. Right. So we're trying to do a little bit more dialogue, a little bit more positive mindset, more masterminding, strategizing, business planning. So we're trying to educate as much as we can. How do we approach some of these difficult situations with some type of value proposition? Like, remember why you're doing this and who do you help, right? And so it's kind of just circling back to the basics sometimes, and like make it simpler than it needs to be, right? Like you really can't make things too complex when the world is already complex around you. So I think, it comes down to just paying attention to everybody and making sure that, they're doing their best going forward and that the education is there.
I think you make a really good point there, Michele, around the shift in perspectives that you, as the leader of the team, are, I'm sure, mindful and intentional to bring to light with your people, because especially in challenging times, people are so prone to slip into fear and contraction and feel like a victim and feel like, they're being controlled by things outside of their control. That's just the nature of being human on the front lines of real life in the midst of the storm, right?
Yeah.
And so part of what I heard you share there that I think is worth highlighting is to remind people that in the midst of a quote unquote slow market or a market storm or a market shift, whatever you want to call it, that's when leaders are needed more than ever. And you're not the only leader in the room. Your people, you're raising up leaders, right? The ultimate leadership influence is not just making followers, but cultivating leaders. So you're cultivating leaders and you're reminding them, hey, when things start to get into wind in the face versus wind in the back mode, we are needed more than ever. Your partners need you more than ever. They need your leadership. They need your guidance. They need your strategic approach. They need your process. They need your insight. They need your initiative. And certainly your clients need your leadership, your guidance, your insight, your expertise more than ever too, because otherwise they're just going to tune into whatever news platform that they happen to be into and watch the talking heads and the pundits.
Yes, no.
Next thing you know, they're sitting on the fence and being guided by some really bad advice, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that to light. And that's a big part, I'm sure, of why you guys have been successful is you're not leaving that to happenstance or chance. You're being intentional about grooming your people to have that perspective on the daily. That's
for sure. Well, you have to be intentional about your business if you want to take it that next step and into the next, level. And if you're not planting seeds during these low times when, people, like you said, maybe sitting on the sidelines, maybe complaining, glass half empty, or what kind of steps are you taking to plant seeds so that, this lull will go back up. It's just a valley, right? So once that happens, what's going to come to fruition now? So I think it's part of empowering everybody, and that's why the education piece is so important.
Yeah, and that's one of our slogans on Planet Prosper at mortgagemarketingcoach.com is build a business where you're winning in every market, in any market, not just in a fair weather market.
That's right.
That's precisely what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, I know that Penny has another seamless question that ties in perfectly with that. So I'm going to pass the baton back to Penny to guide us on the path here, because this is some really powerful leadership and pipeline expanding distinction that everyone needs to be taking some notes on.
Definitely. So I also wanted to just say to both of you too, that I absolutely love what both of you just said in our last moment here too, with education being so important, Michele really pointing that out. And also Anthony pointing out, embracing AI, but also the daily habits of, using your CRM and diarizing and those types of things as well. Those are all really key components that are super important to building our business. And so that leads me into the next question, of course, which is, building our business. So let's talk a little bit about referral relationships. We know in this business, referral relationships are absolutely crucial. They are everything in this business. So tell us a little bit about some strategies that you guys have found that have worked in building the various different relationships that you've built over the years in your business. So from the agent level all the way up to the leadership levels, what are some of the things that are working for you in terms of building those relationships? I know even myself as being an owner as well, building those relationships with the referral partners to grow your business and then to grow your team has been absolutely crucial. So tell me a little bit about referral relationships for you guys and what it means to you and what strategies have worked for you in building your team.
Sure, I'll jump in. For me, I think what's old is always new. So I kind of revert back to always the old things that I did in the past. So for me, it's just exactly going out there, doing the beat every day and shaking hands and speaking to my COIs, whether it's realtors, accountants, lawyers, whoever they might be. So I'd like to touch 2 or 3 of those COIs every day. And for me, it's a matter of getting in front of them. Uh, Again, being part of whatever it is that they do to help their agents, because a lot of them, if you're talking about real estate agents, a lot of them are doing a lot of great things to help their own agents. I'm talking about owner brokers. So we'll go in there and we'll provide some partnerships where we're bringing insurance. We'll bring in the insurance we'll bring in economists who talk about obviously with the economy and whatnot. But I think for me, it just reverts back to the one-on-one piece, and that's where I'm old school with that. So that's what I mean by saying, when I say what's old is new, that handshake for me, and making sure that they trust what I do and what I say, providing the service, making sure that there's integrity behind in what we do in our company. I think that's important to a lot of people, and that's sort of where we kind of rest on our laurels. And that would be for me. It's very, very short, and it's probably something that everybody does already. A lot, obviously, there's a lot of things that we do that outside of that, where there's now today with AI, you're using Facebook, a lot of the social media platforms. That's part and parcel. For me, more effective is that one-on-one piece where people get to know who I am and trust what I do. That's what's important for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll add to that. So from my perspective, I think I hate to be on repeat with education, but I think it's important for them to understand that when you're presenting yourself to a referral source, be it all those that Anthony named, not limited to any of them, but how are you presenting? What are you presenting? Are you confident enough as a subject matter expert? So, and where does that come from? So Bob Proctor says you cannot outperform your self-image. So we talk about equipping ourselves with tools and everything, but if you're going in shy and not so confident, or you don't have all the information, it's going to be very difficult for you to establish these high trust relationships where it's all about your credibility because you're really providing a service. So I think, we try to do as much as we can with a vast type of training when you have so many different ages and different types of personalities and people. So like you saying, what's old is new, that may not be the same for someone that had just come in that's, all about marketing, social media, AI, doing all these different things that wouldn't work for Anthony because that's not genuinely who he is, right? It just doesn't seem natural for him. So I think it's just constantly trying to find pieces of presentations or mastermind sessions, anything that we can do to bring the information to our people to help them grow their confidence in knowing, okay, this works for me. I align with this. I'm going to run with this one, right? And as much as we can bring to them, I think there's no limit there. Like the more tools, the more information, the more you empower them, the more likely they are to succeed, right? Because in our conversations, that has to come across. You can't kind of start and then say, well, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to get back to you, and I don't know. And when you're establishing high trust, be the expert. Believe it, know it. You know the most in the room.
Sure, I love it. And what I heard there's a couple things I want to highlight. One is the thing that probably skipped over people's head, and they maybe even rolled their eyes like, yeah, I've heard that, I know that, or I've done that. And it doesn't sound super sexy or cool. So it's easy to kind of like gloss over it and miss it. But I want to just affirm it and highlight it so you guys don't miss it, because it's so, so powerful. Anthony, just in a passing of a couple seconds, said, I like to make sure I'm connecting with at least 2 to 3 people a day. Now, that doesn't seem like that much of a deal. Like, you're not going to change your life connecting with 3 COIs a day, centers of influence a day. Like, whether that be a financial planner, a realtor, an accountant, you're not going to change your life making 3 outbound connections a day, right? In terms of one day. But then you do that for a week, and then you do that 4 times for a month, and you do that 3 times for a quarter. You do that 4 times in a row for a year. And that's where the compounding effect comes in. This is how you build a $1 billion enterprise, guys. When it comes to $1 billion of volume a year, is this accretionary, muscle building, sustained daily discipline of just 3 connections a day. You think about it, that's, if you're working 5 days a week, that's 60 connections a month. Even if you're converting just 10% of that. That's 6 quality, fruitful connections a month. And if each one of those is producing a deal, and that's a partnership that sends you a deal a month or a deal every second month, that compounds, that consistency compounds. So I don't want you to miss this, because even though, it's not sexy or cutting edge or anything like that, it's like old school. Like Anthony says, old is new, because most people are just chasing the bright, shiny objects, and they miss the power of just the good old faithful that works when you work it. Yeah. So that's one thing I wanted to highlight. The other thing I wanted to ask Michele real quick, before I ask Michele a question about something she said, Anthony, I kind of feel you almost like wanting to jump in. Was there something you wanted to stack on that?
No. It was more tied exactly to your point. It's sort of that compounding effect. And while you're doing that, for myself, I set goals that every month I know that I have to close minimum 30 deals. Let's just say 30 deals. And if I don't, then I have to carry that over. And if I close 27, then I know I've got to close 33 the next month, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the year, I've set that goal, but I've drilled it down to daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. I have to make sure that I'm always, I'm always succeeding, and those COIs that I touch on a daily basis are referring me that business. And what I tell my kids, it's easy to get really complacent at times. And there's one thing, and I've told my agents as well over and over, there's a reminder. If you ever become complacent, there's a reminder for you every day when you get into your car and you're ready to start, push that button to start the engine, and you look at your side view mirror, and both of them say, objects are closer than they appear. And that means if you don't keep your foot on the pedal, everybody's going to go right by you. Being complacent, those objects are going to continue to get closer and closer and closer, at which point you're looking behind them. So to them, I tell my kids, make sure that's a reminder for you that you've always got to be busy. You've always got to be doing things. You've always got to be touching somebody, something to move on to where you want to, whatever goal you've got to reach.
Or using the dog sled analogy, if you're not the lead dog, the view is always the same, right? Looking at another dog's rear end, not a pretty picture. So Michele, you mentioned how I love that you highlighted the power of self-image and Bob Proctor's quote that you can never exceed the level of your self-image in terms of results.
Yeah.
How do you, let's take someone who maybe has, like me, struggle with imposter syndrome, feeling inadequate. How do you help them pull out those weeds from the garden of their mind and heart and help them, transform their self-image? What's the crash course on how to do that for maybe sales managers or people like me who have struggled with that stuff themselves and they want to figure out how to do this transformation on the inside that makes such a big difference on the outside?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to just hold for 1 second just to add that Anthony is not afraid to talk to anybody. It's funny because when we travel, and so there is emphasis on this because there's an art to it. We travel together, conferences and stuff, and it doesn't matter where we are. I'll lose him in 2 seconds. I'm like, he's talking to someone else.
That's like my wife. Same thing.
It's just amazing. I don't have that talent. Sometimes I'm just too tired to talk to the next person next to me. It doesn't matter, but he shakes hands with people. He'll give his card to people. It's just, it is old school, but it works. Here we are this many years later, and he's built an amazing company and in his own book. So anyhow, thank you. I just wanted to give him that little.
Great in your superpower. That's the big idea.
Yeah, it is a superpower for sure. So for me, yes, it's an important thing that I think is really, it's difficult to get people out of because we have that setting of what's comfortable for us. And so I think it's important for us to help them move out of that. What does that look like? You either live in gratitude because you start to find positive in everything and start to see the positive in yourself. And you also need accountability. So what I ask them to do is text me their win every day. Doesn't matter how big or how small. It has to be something that you won in. And I challenge them. It can't just be like, I called somebody today, like what? No, I made 5 cold calls that made me really uncomfortable. 4 of them said no, but it's okay. Like they have to be significant wins. And I push them for that. I ask, right? So, and And you see it goes for a week, and then it goes, oh, I forgot to text you. And then it goes to 3 days to 2 days to 1 day to no text anymore, because they're reverting to their setting of comfort. Right. So this is my way of trying to push them out of it is write your daily gratitude and make sure that your accountability is there either morning or night, doesn't matter when, give me something. And so as you start to see that, I think it rewires, over a month. Like you said, today it won't matter, but looking back in 30 days, what are all those wins I've had? Oh, you know what? I can do this. I had those tough conversations. I had no many times in my face and kept going, right? Or I stepped out of my comfort zone and did a live stream video on marketing that I'm not comfortable with. So it's like, what are those wins? And let's celebrate those wins. So I try to kind of navigate and steer people away from what they think is super uncomfortable.
Yeah, because what
I think we all
focus
have a
on
little bit of
expands.
imposter.
Right?
Sorry?
Focus on the poop, you and then chances are you're going to feel kind of shitty, right?
100%.
Whatever we focus on expands. So you're using
right.
that principle to their advantage by focusing on their wins, focusing on what's working, celebrations, expansion, what do you want to create? And of course, what you focus on expands. So that's powerful.
100%. Well, when you're talking about, like you said, if you're bringing in the negative, it's the rates, it's the underwriter, it's this, it's that. You're making excuses not to do well. You're not coming from a place of abundance, right? So when you start seeing yourself as successful, you start doing the things. Action cancels fear. Let's keep moving. And so we really try to nurture positivity. And that's why earlier I had said, a negative mindset doesn't align, right? Because there's only so much I can help you with. Like they say, lead the horse to water, right?
You can lead a horse to water. You can't force them to drink. That's why we only work with thirsty horses.
That's right. That are willing to get wet.
That's right. Thirsty horses only.
Yeah.
So Penny, want to stack on that? I know there's something there that you want to lead us into next.
Oh, yes, of course. Absolutely. I also just wanted to add into that Michele mentioned the word alignment earlier too. And I think that that's also really important in this industry too, is that what feels right in your alignment, right? So we don't always necessarily have to chase the bright and shiny objects, right? So I think that's really key. It's like Anthony's talking about making the 3 calls a day, right? And that is something that it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, whether you're brand new in the business or whether we've been 30 years in the business, all of us know that that is a tried and true thing and it works, right? And so when you get into alignment with the things that work and get into alignment with things that you feel work too, you end up bringing people into your circle that work as well. So alignment is definitely a big thing. And I think that's been really powerful for you guys as a team as well, is that everything is in like the right alignment for Sherwood Group too. So I just think that's really incredible. Mm-hmm. So as we talk about that alignment, let's talk a little bit about the future of the mortgage industry as a whole. So there's a lot of different trends that are happening right now. There's the whole AI is coming into play. There's a lot of different things that are happening. What do you guys think, just in general, what the next 5 years is going to look like? And what should we be doing to prepare for all the things that are coming down the pipeline? I'm sure that AI might get mentioned here for sure, because it's coming in and it's coming in hot. So, but please, share with us kind of what your sort of feeling might be in terms of where you think the mortgage industry is going to be headed in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Who has a crystal ball?
I know, it's a tough one. So,
yeah, I think, and Anthony will have his take on this for sure. I think there's, we look at how many different things impact our industry that we don't have control over, right? And be it what's going on south of the border, north of the border, west of the border, what's going on in the world, and, what it looked like 20 years ago and in the last valley, and how we got out of that, and the shift that happens with how people need help, right? There's an influx of people in trouble. You see a lot of B business, a lot of private business. If things recoup, goes back to the banks. And there's now a whole slew of A business, and the privates, maybe falter, the Bs don't get as much. It comes in waves, it comes and goes. So how do we prepare for that? I think it's, when you're trying to get ahead of things, it may be technology. It may be embracing the new tools that are out. It may just be getting ahead of the education, But for me, it's like when you said alignment, it's that we're rowing in the same direction, that no matter what we believe in, whatever's going to happen, we're going to get there together, right? I don't want people falling behind. I don't want people, it's like the mom that has when you see the, what is it called? The kids that go to daycare and you've got the string with the kids that have to hold the rope, their rope. Well, everybody's together, right? Everybody follow later. Let's go. So we want to make sure everybody's all following the same way so we can continue to navigate together. Outside of that, you can't control some of the things. So I think it's just preparing yourself in what things you can control. What do you have within your control? What are some of your value propositions? How do you continue to build yourself so that you know it and recognize it very well and know what your strengths and weaknesses are? It's so important that people are dismissive of that. One of the best practices from business planning is trying to learn, what types of things stress me out? What types of things am I good at? What types of things do I hand off to someone or do I need to hire to do for me? And that's kind of those ways to navigate through. So, I mean, as an industry, it's hard to say we don't have, but do we see shifts happening? A lot of regulations happening and a lot of tech happening. So, we just want to make sure that we're informed enough to make sure that we're getting ahead of that. But yeah, Anthony, I'm sure you'll have your own perspective.
Oh, it's exactly it. I think you covered all of it, but really, I think in my own opinion, with so many things happening in our mortgage industry, the many changes, obviously rules and regulations that are coming into play now with AML, rates are changing, renewals are coming up in the next couple of years. Do they qualify? Don't they qualify? Who knows? Nobody really knows, but I do see, and it's kind of interesting to see the banks positioning on their with their sales forces. And I'm just going to touch on our industry as far as agents and mortgage brokers. We're starting to see a huge shift from bankers to brokers. So if I could make a comment on our industry itself, I think we're alive and well. We're going to lead. We're going to be leading the way into for the next 10, 15 years. Where does AI lead us? I don't know. To Michelle's point, that's a crystal ball that I certainly don't have and wouldn't be able to comment on. But I do see a huge shift where our industry is going to grow. Hopefully it grows with all the right people. And, what happens with it is really going to be dependent on us and where we take it. So there's a lot of great minds in our industry. Obviously, both Penny and Doran are here to prove that, we are headed in the right direction and doing great things as you are, and making sure that the industry is aware of who's who and the zoo. And I don't mean it disrespectfully, but I certainly mean it who the players are. And I think there's a lot of great things that are going to be happening, and that shift is really important. What happens with the FIs, and maybe some of the FIs will be listening here and they're going to say that I'm crazy, and who's he to say that? But that's okay. It is what it is, and that's the truth. That's what's happening. So it'll be interesting to see. But I do feel this is an industry that is only going to get better. So we're looking forward to it.
Amen to that, brother.
Matt.
I do as well, and I know that. Amen to that. And I always like to say, because people are asking what's going to happen in the market, when you've been in the business as long as we have, people who are newer tend to ask those crazy questions as if we have the crystal ball, right, Michele?
Yeah.
I keep telling them, I don't have the answers. Only God knows when it comes to the fine details on rate drops and when it's going to happen and how many basis points and so on and so forth. But one thing I know for certain, people are going to keep getting into the market. They're going to keep moving up in the market. They're going to get married. They're going to get divorced, and they're going to die. And all those require transactions. So might as well have your name on them. And yes, there's technology that helps us, have new ways of reaching people, new ways of getting our message across to the right type of people that we're wanting to target, who are our ideal clients. There's new options and new platforms to be able to get in front of the right prospective clients for hopefully a lower cost for a higher profit. That's what marketing technology really should be there for. And then, of course, there's going to be new technologies for improving efficiency with process with our own operations. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to two things: reaching the right people and delivering a 5-star experience to those people such that they want to send repeat and referral business and give us a rave review. So no need to overcomplicate it, guys, when it comes to what's coming down the pipe. All technology really should serve those outcomes. And if you're not using technology to serve those outcomes, then that's where you're going to be left behind. If you're not cutting edge, you're going to be bleeding edge, trailing edge. Next thing you know, you're going to be left behind. So that's why we do this podcast, to keep you guys cutting edge instead of bleeding edge. Back to you, Penny. What we got next?
Okay, beautiful. So you guys have shared so many tremendous success tips and things that have elevated your business right from when you got into the business to where you are today. And so if we were to break this down into like one specific mindset or one specific habit, like just one item that was just really pivotal in your journey, what would that one thing be that is just pivotal to both of you?
In the personal one, like you're not in Sherwood as a whole journey?
Yeah, on your journey. Yeah. What would you say is pivotal for you? What was that one mindset or one habit that you do every day that has just been that pivotal moment that's really just been the game changer for you?
I could say it's very simple for me. It's what I mentioned to you before. For me, it's just touching and connecting with people. Really, that keeps my business going. It was back then, and it is today. So, it's not a news flash by any means, but it's something that's real to me, and it's been working. So, and it'll continue. It'll continue to be that. So, but along with fostering relationships and new connections, really, it's really simple for me. Just be staying connected every day.
But I was just going to say, for me, it's diversity, actually, because I think if I hadn't been faced with the diversity in over my experience in 20 years in different roles and different things that I've done, I wouldn't be where I am right now. You look back on some things and you think, oh, why did that happen? And I've been able to move beyond why and say, I'm thankful that happened and give thanks for that, because truly you just know that now you trust that things in your journey are meant to happen a certain way. And so, but instead of getting hung up on things, so I now learn to welcome diversity and say, bring it, bring it. It's fine. Let me show you. If I'm not being challenged with something, it means it's easy, and we can all do what's easy. It's easy to do what's easy, right? So, but bring the diversity and get your boxing gloves on. Let's go. Yes.
I love it.
Game on.
And
it's so much easier said than done on a podcast, right? But in this
for sure,
real life, that's where I find personally, I have a hard time living it. I usually have a little tantrum for a moment or two, and get pissed off or frustrated. I try and pull my hair out, but it's pretty short. So thankfully, I'm not
done a good job over the years.
Even I'm an utter and complete failure at pulling my hair out now. So I've kind of given up on that. But the thing that is cool, I know, right? I might as well just embrace my weaknesses and my strengths. And that's definitely one of my weaknesses, pulling my hair out. I'm officially an utter and complete failure when it comes to that.
I feel your pain, buddy. I feel your pain.
You just, you got to know your limits and play within it. So the cool thing, though, is that there's an attitude of gratitude that you just beam, you exude, Michele, that is, I know it's very authentic, and it comes from some dark nights of the soul, and realizing that the alternative is not nearly as useful, helpful, and not nearly as resourceful as living in that gratitude place. I'm curious to know, and I know we were short on time, so we'll make this a quick one. I'm curious to know, in the moment when you're going through the proverbial shitstorms, the trials, the tribulations, the dark nights of the soul, how do you find that gratitude place? Because oftentimes it's like we're attached to it being a certain way, and it's really hard to shift out of that darkness and into the light of, knowing that there's got to be a higher purpose for this, trusting, coming into that peaceful, resourceful, resilient place. Is there one little tool that you use to make that shift? And if so, what is it?
Grace.
Grace.
Yeah.
Tell
It's
us
just
more.
great because I think it's, because you can now listen, you can look back and with a telescope and say, okay, the world is this big now, because looking behind is always easier than looking ahead. But when you can see that after every storm, the sun comes out again, you allow yourself the grace to feel that, like you said, I'm frustrated right now or whatever. So you're of course, as a human, so am I, but not to live there for very long, because you just know, okay, wait a second, though, I'm meant to learn something here. And I've always been about learning and education. So I didn't mention I dreamed of being a teacher, and life just took me a different way. So this passion of education and learning, it's not just limited to other people. Like, I have to remember there's lessons for me too. So I don't dwell too long, and I just give myself the grace to feel it and then move on.
Yeah. And again, there's that gravitational pull towards something that you do want. You know what you don't want. That's the perturbance. And then it's like, what do I do want?
Right.
I want to move into expansion, and education, learning, insight is that's a powerful opportunity to expand into a better version of ourselves, and that usually comes with some pain, right? Those lessons come with some pain. Without the aggravation in the oyster, there is no pearl.
That's right. That's right. But also, how are you an example to others? So if I'm going to do this in my role in leadership and lead others out of those moments, and not do it myself, and not believe it myself, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that this is temporary, that there's a lesson in this, if I don't believe it myself, right? So I think it's important also, and for my children and for the people around me, it's, it's not just telling them that this is a thing, it's showing them by example that this is the way you need to move forward through it. So yeah, I prayerfully give a lot of grace and gratitude for sure.
I think it was worth the price of admission. I know this is a free podcast, but if you're watching this, the most precious commodity you have is your time. It was worth the price of admission just for the last 5 minutes, and the other stuff was pure gold as well. So I hope you guys are really letting this soak in, and thank you. Penny, what else should we highlight, stack, pull out with the limited time we have left? I know we're short on time.
We've only got a couple minutes left. I've got one last question for you guys, because I think that our audience would absolutely love it. And that is, there's always people coming in the industry all the time. As we know, there's always new faces coming into the industry. So for brokers that are just starting out, what words of advice would you have for them for getting into this industry? That's, there's so many things we can say. So what can we ask you guys to stack on this? What advice do you have for people that are brand new in the industry, just hopping on this train of the mortgage broker industry?
Find your family.
Yeah.
Find your family. You're not going to get there alone. No matter how lonely this role could be in mortgages, everybody's entrepreneurial. They're doing their own thing. You're in your own office. You're at home, wherever you are, kind of on your own island. You need your family. So find your family.
Do you certainly do your homework before you're jumping to any brokerage, but don't be driven by the dollar. If that's what you're looking for, you're not going to succeed. So I would say make sure that you're wanting to, you're wanting to jump into something where you have the passion, and that you're going to grow that passion and wanting to be a mortgage broker, a professional, or whatnot. And to Michelle's point, find that family, because it's so important. That culture, the values that they hold are going to be it's going to be defining for you as you grow within that brokerage, that culture, the environment, and the industry. So definitely find the right family.
I really love that. That is so powerful. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. This has been great.
Want to honor you for your connection to purpose that just beams off the screen as we see you guys through your webcam. I can tell you really care about people, not just your people, but people in general, certainly your people in particular that you invest in. I can tell there's a genuine love and care for them. I can tell that your drive, your motive is more than just winning in business. More importantly, it's winning in life as a whole, building those rich, rewarding, reciprocal relationships where your people and their success is your success, or you put them first. Servant leadership. I just want to thank you for exemplifying what it looks like to care and to bring servant leadership to the front lines, and to have the long-term perspective, to not be myopic and short-sighted, but have that long-term perspective and have deep roots that come from having some dark nights of the soul and weathering them well, such that it's a bit like the fertilizer in the garden. It might be stinky in the moment, but it creates hyper growth, and it creates strong roots, and it creates sweet fruits. So I want to honor you guys for who you are, who you're becoming, and how you're serving the mortgage industry in general, and certainly at Sherwood Mortgage Group in particular. And thank you for giving us an inspiring, aspirational example worthy of emulation. And most perhaps importantly, with regards to today's podcast, thank you for your time and being so generous with sharing your journey with us today.
Thank you. It's a wonderful opportunity. So I'll pass it on to you as well, but I'm very grateful for your time as well. And certainly being able to have a heartfelt, open conversation where we can share who we genuinely are and what we do care about, who we care about, and how we want to see things moving forward.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, no, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Doran. And
First.
That's why I always see going behind Michele, because you're always at a loss for words, because she's always great at what she needs, what she articulates herself with and whatnot. So, guys, it's been a pleasure, and we're glad we're the first ones to start this off, and it's going to be really great to listen to to everybody else that follows. But truly appreciate the opportunity here, and
Thank you.
people. I know I've known Penny for a few years, and we've met through the industry. Penny, thank you. You've always been great, and congratulations to your success. I've seen it, I've watched it, and kudos to you for being the leader that you are. Doran, thank you very much. I know we've never met, but you've got a great thing going on, and I wish you all the best. And hopefully, maybe one day we'll come back, and who knows? Maybe you'll be on a podcast with us, and we'll interview you folks and let us know how that went.
Absolutely. Beautiful. I have a feeling our paths will cross again, God willing, in the flesh, face to face. And if so, look forward to giving you guys a big bear hug.
Thank you.
Don't forget to bring your comb. We'll share that one.
Absolutely. Bring it on.
And if I may say, you know, that last question that you asked about, where you see in the mortgage industry, to add on to what Anthony just said, thank you for all you do to just elevate us as an industry. Really, try to find ways of helping people and moving forward in innovation and strategy. But thank you for sharing what you do and really trying to elevate people and making people better. So thank you for that too.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely cousins in the same family, brothers and sisters in the same family, and our hearts beat with the same rhythm of passion to serve people and to their blessed life, their best life. And I think that's why we have such natural synergy, sparks flying synergy. So right back at you, sister. I appreciate you and very much appreciate the fact we're on the same page in that regard. And so, guys, thanks for listening and watching. This is the first of many, hopefully, of these types of, not just interviews, but luminary interviews with people who've been there, done that, and have produced exemplary success. We're going to be bringing more of these. So if you dig this, please do let us know if indeed we should, because we're right now breaking into a whole new kind of niche of what kind of content we can do on this podcast. So if you dig this and you'd like more of this, let us know. Give us a comment, or even better, rate us on Spotify and or iTunes, and just give us some feedback, give us some love. Let us know if this is something you'd like to do, you'd like us to do more of. Easy for me to say. And we welcome your feedback. Again, if you guys would like to learn more about how to take your mortgage business to the next level with the right support, and you want to be able to learn more about how that looks in the Canadian space, in an area that Sherwood Mortgage is operating, definitely check out Sherwood Mortgage. What's the best way if someone's in Canada, they want to learn more about Sherwood Mortgage? What's the best way for them to learn more about you guys and how they might join your family?
Michele?
We're like this. Now he's saying, call me, called her.
Call the boss.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're both very approachable. So yeah, reaching out to us through our website even.
And the website is?
SherwoodMortgageGroup.com.
There you go, SherwoodMortgageGroup.com. If you didn't know, now you know, guys. So check them out if that's something you'd like to learn more about. If you want to learn more about MortgageMarketingCoach.com and how we can help you guys create a thriving 6 to 7 figure business and win in any market, not just a fair weather market, without troubling yourself with the hassle or the dread or the suck of cold calling, begging, bribing, or kissing butts, feel free to book a call with one of our consultants at mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. Again, that's mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. We have been here today with the one and only Michele Steko. Did I say your name right, Michele?
You did.
I should have got Penny to do the exit. Penny, can you do the exit? I don't know what I was thinking doing the exit. I'm way better at this than I am.
Oh, good.
Take it away, my dear.
Of course. Well, again, I just want to say thank you very much. We've been absolutely blessed for the last hour and a little bit to have the pleasure of the company of Michele Steko and Anthony Contento, both of Sherwood Mortgage today. So again, thank you very much for both of you. And we can't wait to connect with you again in the future.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Thanks for hanging with us, guys. We'll see you on the next episode. And just know this business is like a personal development course with a compensation plan attached. The more you grow, the more your impact and your income grows. So don't just go to the next level, grow to the next level. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace, y'all. Thanks for hanging with us.